welcome back to another video. So we actually have a lot of very interesting things that are going on right now that I need to address. First off, what is happening tomorrow? Are we seeing stimulus checks tomorrow? No. But what is happening tomorrow that is so important? Here's what's happening tonight. Okay, tonight at midnight technically, but really tomorrow is going to be the first time that millions and millions of Americans lose 100% of their income simply because of unemployment benefits expiring on the federal level. I got more updates on that, and I also want to dive into what is going on in Afghanistan right now. There's a lot of stuff happening, but again, hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day so far. Hopefully you guys had an incredible weekend as well. But let's get into the updates. And if you could and you enjoy these updates, do me a favor, go ahead, hit that like button because it really does help out the channel. Here's what we know. Lawmakers are pushing each other to make a drastic move right now. They say that climate change cannot wait. We need to provide for those that have been impacted due to the recent wildfires and Hurricane Ida. Many lawmakers are urging Nancy Pelosi to come back and bring the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill to the floor of the House. And they want her to do this quickly. They say that there are billions and billions of dollars in the infrastructure bill that could help people in Louisiana, Mississippi, New York, New Jersey, and many other states that are going through flooding right now. Just to give you an idea, just because we see flooding happen and then the water goes away, okay? It just gets rerouted into the rivers, it dissipates, whatever, right? The water just goes away. Just because the water is not there and it's not visible does not mean there aren't settling issues under, high rises and under buildings and under bridges. Doesn't mean there's not issues regarding, drywall, rotting, mold, things like that. And so what we are seeing is lawmakers are pushing to include more for infrastructure in this next bill because of the recent events, but let's get the money out there as quickly as possible. Well, this also brings up the other question is, well, if we can get these bills out quickly, that means the other stimulus, that means the other legislation that is tied to those bills is coming right along with it. That is good news. So, according to many, they are saying that this could mean we will have more stimulus very soon. Yes, they are saying stimulus. They're using the words stimulus more and more lately. And the main reason for that is because this $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill is mostly stimulus. So, this is actually good news. We also know that right now, lawmakers are saying that at this time, we need to consider multiple other programs as well. We need to consider unemployment benefits. Many argue that in states that saw massive flooding, many people could simply be out of work for some time because those businesses could be closed down. People could be kicked from their homes simply because they need to be repaired. And millions of people are about to lose 100% of their unemployment income. And that's going to happen tonight, which means tomorrow they will have an income of zero, of nothing. Just to give you an idea, okay? Just to give you an idea how bad this is. What we know is that the White House is not looking at extending the unemployment benefits. Our senior leaders are not looking at extending benefits either. Mitch McConnell does not want to extend unemployment benefits. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is not talking about extending unemployment benefits. Nancy Pelosi, again, not talking about extending unemployment benefits. Yes, she would like to. Many would like to, but it comes down to, is that a higher priority than, other things like, infrastructure and the stimulus package that we're trying to work on right now? Some say yes, some say no. But we will see. Reports today show that unemployment benefits end, but when they end, this is the key. This is the thing that makes many lawmakers extremely upset. When unemployment benefits end, and we've already seen it end last year when the $600 per week ended, We saw it end when the 26 states ended the $300 per week boost. But when unemployment benefits end, people stop spending money. They just stop because they don't have any money. But when people stop spending money, the economy comes to a halt. But here's the thing that's very interesting is the White House doesn't understand why things get so difficult when people stop getting their unemployment checks. It's simple. They don't have the money. So according to one Democratic aide, what they are saying is they're just buying time so that others can see the devastation that is upon us. That's coming from one Democratic aide who didn't want to be named, probably for obvious reasons. And according to another White House aide, they say that they are waiting to see how much persuasion Senator Joe Manchin needs on the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill before they can determine what they can and cannot include in it. So again, two different aides are saying different things, but it does mean the same thing. We're gonna see more, and the key here is let's wait and see, which we did that last year, and everybody hated it. It didn't work. And in case you didn't know how much stimulus will end tonight, let me just break this down. About 7.4 million Americans will lose 100% of their income tonight. So they'll go in tomorrow with $0 coming to them. Another 3 million Americans are going to lose that additional $300 per week boost from federal aid. And the Washington Post says this will be the most abrupt cut to government aid in U.S. history. And it's coming in a time when the American people cannot afford to lose any income. They cannot afford to put themselves back on their feet. They cannot afford to pay rent. Millions of people are still behind on rent. They cannot afford to put food on the table. And they cannot afford the necessities like medication to survive. But here's what we know. According to one Democratic aide, they are aware of the situation that they're in. They are aware of this, but things must go from bad to worse in order to get others on board as well. I'm going to read that again. According to one Democratic aide, again, this Democratic aide, I don't think it's the same one, but they do not want to be named for obvious reasons. They are aware of the situation. I think when they say they're specifically referring to Democrats are aware of the situation that they pretty much backed themselves into. And they say, but they must wait for things to go from bad to worse in order to get others on board as well. And when they refer to others, I'm guessing, okay, this is just my guess, based off the statement and the articles, but my guess is they're waiting for moderates to see what devastation is upon us, and then they will be able to act. But again, that means we have to wait and see. But remember, this is how things were going back, in 2020, last year, when we were fighting for that second stimulus check. This is exactly what happened when we saw in the beginning of August of last year, in 2020, that the $600 per week unemployment benefits expired. They expired. There was nothing. There was no $300 per week boost. There was no $400. There was no $100. It was just you went from $600 to $0, and it happened instantly. I think it was like August 6th or something. It was like right there. And so the people that were on unemployment at that time were struggling because they lost $600 per week, $2,400 for the month in additional income. That was huge. I remember for many people that I knew that were on unemployment benefits, that was huge. As soon as they lost that, they pretty much had to go and find a different job, get back to work, do something else because they couldn't afford to live. That's devastating. We also remember, okay, or hopefully you do, that we also saw that a bunch of fighting, things got really bad for businesses, and then we finally got back to the drawing board and say, okay, we need a second round of that PPP funding because businesses are going under. And if businesses go under, and the small business owners that pretty much supply the majority of jobs for the American people in the United States, if they go under, and let's say 50% of businesses just completely close their doors, that means 50% of workers, or probably even more than that, would be out of work as well. And that would be devastating. So Things had to go completely upside down, and finally Congress decided to do something. And this is what we're seeing right now. They're saying we have to see where things are going to go first, and then we can fix them. That's what we're seeing. Let's see things go from bad to worse, and then we'll come back and we'll fix them. It's a little bit of backwards thinking, but that's kind of where we're at now. And so let me break down what is going on with the stimulus checks. A lot of lawmakers are pushing for a fourth stimulus check, and I've been saying this for a while. I've been telling you guys, many have stated they want to wait until the last minute to go and submit that proposal for an additional stimulus check. Because, number one, if you wait until the last minute, chances are it will be included. Most lawmakers are not going to try to pull it out at that point. Second reason why is if cases increase. Again, these were the statements back the early part of the summer, even the late spring. But now we're seeing cases are increasing. So back then they're saying if cases are to increase, there'd be a higher likelihood we could get additional stimulus checks included, especially if people are actually going back on unemployment and if unemployment doesn't get extended. Well, all those things are happening. COVID cases are increasing. People are being let go because of cases and because people are not wanting to spend as much money. So restaurants, retail stores, businesses don't need as many people working. And number three, unemployment benefits are expiring or will expire at the end of today. Things aren't looking great. So there's a higher chance of an additional stimulus check, but all these things have to kind of, come about. It's kind of that fork in the road. Everything's coming together now. And what we see coming over the next couple of weeks is going to be a telling sign of where Congress is at and what we're going to see moving forward. So as we know more, I promise I will fill you in on that update. But let's get into the bad news out of Afghanistan. According to multiple reports, at least 4 airplanes just over the past few days have been grounded. They are unable to leave and take off simply because simply take off from Afghanistan because the Taliban are preventing them from leaving. Reports indicate that the Taliban do not want their citizens fleeing the country, and they will stop them at all costs. Well, the issue there is we are still trying to get out, I think, a couple hundred U.S. citizens as well. However, many of these U.S. citizens are not going to travel to the airport because they worry for their lives, which is true. If you travel to that airport, you are a U.S. citizen, and you try to get on an airplane, chances are something's going to happen. So, according to reports, U.S. citizens are pretty much staying put and hoping the U.S. military will come and get them. But again, this has to be a covert operation because the U.S. has pretty much came to an agreement with the Taliban that they would be out of Afghanistan by August 31st, which we were. They were September 5th now. But if we go back in, what does that say? We don't know. So we'll see what happens there. But again, as I know more there, I promise I will fill you in on that update as well. Let's get into the news for today. Health experts are saying from around the world, they are saying that the only way to prevent a winter surge at this point is to children. They say, and many of these health experts are saying the only way to stop the spread right now is we have to get children. We have to do this because children are in school. Children are the ones that are spreading this. Adults, grandparents, the elderly, they're all contracting this mainly because it's coming from the children first. So if we are going to stop the Delta surge, this has to happen with children. If we are to see this variant Mu, then we have to get children. However, according to Dr. Scott Gottlieb, he says that children ages 5 to 11 could be ready for it by this winter. It would most likely come by the end of this fall. However, winter would be most likely the time that it happens. He says this is a very optimistic scenario. He also points out that the application will most likely be submitted sometime in October. However, according to reports and according to their recent approvals, it usually takes about 4 to 6 weeks. So let's say they go and submit their application for children from 5 to ages 11. If they do this at the end of October, let's just say November 1st, Well, if it takes 4 weeks, that pretty much puts us into the 1st of December. If it takes 6 weeks, that'll be about the middle. So that's what we're seeing. Sometime in December is the most likely scenario at this point. Experts also say that this will be a turning point in this. In order for this to be a turning point, this requires children to take them, which means some parents who are going to opt out of this for children are going to hurt our chances of getting out of this quicker. That's at least according to reports. But again, we never know till we get there. We never know. We don't know. We are still waiting for that the FDA emergency use authorization. But again, who knows when that's going to come. But what I can tell you is, as I know more, I promise I will share all the news and updates as we get them. Again, I just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Have an incredible week this week as well. Also, have a great Labor Day. I will be back on tomorrow morning, fill you in on any news that we hear. But again, thanks for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one. See you guys on the next one. See you guys on